Said you're good.
Hello, everybody. John DiCarlo from AlScoop.com, joined by Gauss and Colin Thompson, coming to you from Lot K. A couple hours, hour and a half before Temple's kickoff with Georgia Tech. We're going to introduce you to Rob Silk in a second here, a legendary Temple tailgater, former Temple crew member. We'll talk about some of the good food he has here. First, we're going to get to the game. Colin, I think we know that, as cliche as it sounds on paper, this is a game Temple should win. But we have the obvious storyline of Jeff Collins coming back. He has intel on these guys. Of course, Rod Carey said that they have film that they can look at. Just your general knee-jerk reaction on how you think things will go down today.
Well, you'll hear my prediction later, but I think Temple's going to be able to manhandle them at the line of scrimmage because of the change in offense from Georgia Tech and what Temple's offensive line brings. Listen, there was a lot of plays last week that Temple offensive line would love to have back. Again, there was turnovers, but the game was inside the game. Temple's offensive line got pushed around a little bit at times, and I can guarantee you that group is not happy about it. So they're going to come out to play today. My initial reaction is for Temple to win today, they need at least one or two rushers combined over 100 yards. You need to run the football in college football and any football. It hasn't changed. And an initial reaction to me is Anthony Russo came out this week, apologized to his teammates about his performance, and he'll be back too. He's a veteran. He's a guy who's played a lot of football. Now this is going on his second year as a starter. And he's been around some successful quarterbacks before too. So I look for him to have a big game and the running game and the offensive line to get going against Jeff Collins, a former Temple head coach.
We know that obviously it didn't just come down to Anthony Russo, but obviously when you get behind like that, you can't really commit to the run as much. Did it look to you like Anthony was just trying to win the game back, like 2 touchdowns at a time? He looked like he was trying to force some throws there?
Yeah, I heard you guys say it on the podcast. He's trying to score 14, 15 points per throw. No, I think you're trying to force anything there at that point in time to get it going when really composure's key and doing your job, which is how you should have started the game anyways. Temple starts up the game with a bang. 7 points, interception, everything's moving and grooving the way it should be. And now all of a sudden you're down. And I had to rewatch the game tied in with the Harry Donahue, Paul Palmer our radio. And I rewatched it again, and the first quarter was pleasurable to watch. It was your typical Temple football game against a MAC opponent. Slow starting, but we're getting moving. Turnover, forced fumble, 14-0. All of a sudden, that gets overturned, and the game flips on its head, and you're like, what just happened? This is painful to watch. So I hope we have a bounce back this week. I really do.
Yeah, I don't know if you can tell by the fact I'm flop sweating, but it's hot as hell here today. So I think despite it being almost October, it's supposed to be 86 and humid. I agree with Colin. I think you really need to control the line of scrimmage. I think in an ideal world, even if Georgia Tech was healthy, they were going to have trouble controlling the line of scrimmage. They just lost their starting left tackle for the entire year. They're probably going to be starting a walk-on at guard. Really should be a bounce-back situation for Dan Archibong. Had a sack against Buffalo. I would expect him to continue. Afan Maje, you would hope maybe has a bounce back too after winning National Player of the Week against Maryland. I agree. I think Temple needs to run the ball. I don't think Anthony Russo needs to do too much. I think Temple should have an advantage at line of scrimmage. They should have an advantage running the ball. Only thing that concerns me a lot is Georgia Tech's secondary is pretty good. It's still an ACC defense. They're adjusting on offense. That defense can still be good.
Colin, what are these guys going through right now? Obviously, you're taught as a player to not give up too much to the media, and they're going to say, we're focused. I mean, a couple of the guys have said, yeah, this is not your average game, but how do you find that sweet spot of channeling the energy and saying, hey, we want to beat our former coach, we want to smash his face in, but also not getting too overly excited?
I'll never forget our senior day. Matt Rules told us, hey guys, it's not going to be pretty in the first quarter. And I'm like, why is that even a case? Why is that even a thing? What do you mean? We're going to come out and be physical and do our thing. Comes out, not the case. We came out. I think we had a turnover, a 3 and out, and it was very emotional. He said, guys, you're about to go on the field, cry and hug your parents, and then go play a football game. It's not weird. You don't see your parents 10 minutes before a football game, cry nonetheless, and then go play. And he was dead on. I think there's going to be a little bit of emotional adjustment. These are guys that really went to your parents' house and said, hey, come play for me. I'm going to change your son's life. I'm going to get him to the NFL. I'm going to hold him to academic standards that you want to hold him to. So it's a family thing. These families are saying, hey, make sure you beat him up well today too, because I'm upset that Jeff left. There's more to it than that. The players are doing a nice job, other than Sean Bradley, talking about how much the big game is. And I love Sean for saying that, by the way. But I think there's a storyline to it. I really do. I think they have to overcome the emotion that's going to happen in the first quarter and settle in.
All right, should we go to predictions now before we get to the delicious food behind us? Kyle, we'll start with you.
Sure. Linwood Crump being out hurts. Randall Jones being back helps. I think Christian Braswell has played really well in his absence. I think Temple's going to be able to really keep them in touch. in check offensively. I'll stick with, I think Temple wins this 27-13.
I'm going to go with what I said on our podcast. I'm going to go 27-20 Temple. Again, I think as long as Anthony Russo doesn't get too overly excited, as long as these guys, and again, if this is a thing in football, Colin, as long as the guys on defense don't over pursue, get too out of character, so to speak, I think they win this one. What did I say, 27-20?
Yeah.
I think 27-20 Temple win. That maybe won't be as close, but they should win this by at least a touchdown.
I think something to touch on, too, before I give my prediction is that Chris Wiesahan coaches offensive line. He knows their strengths. He knows their weaknesses. He's recruited them. He's going to know what blitz gave them that offensive line trouble last year, and I look for an exotic blitz to come, maybe give that O-line some trouble. Even though Chris is an offensive coach, hey, they're all for the good, good of the Jackets there, and I think there's going to cause some problems. I think there's going to be some issues early in the game, but I do think Temple settles in and wins 30-13. I just think Temple has just too much, and it's easy. I can't base it off the Buffalo game. I hope they've turned the page on that, but I'll base it on their Maryland performance, which was stellar, and I was on cloud 9 about. So I think Temple wins 30-13 behind an Anthony Russo game, like you said, just playing quarterback, nothing fancy. Give it to the open receiver. And a 100-yard rushing game, maybe a defensive touchdown, maybe a special teams touchdown. I'd love to see that out of that group that struggled this year.
Get Isaiah Wright going.
Yeah, get him going on punt return. He hasn't had a good year on that. Yeah, so 30-13.
All right, should we bring Sam in closer here?
Yeah, we
Colin,
should.
You want
to take the mic?
Introduce us to the wonderful world of Rob Silk.
Yeah, Rob Silk, guy's a legend. I'll elaborate to kill some time here. He's meeting some people. Road crew here, a huge part of the crew program and crew coming back. We got Silky's tailgate. It's just absolutely fantastic. I'm going to step you in. So I'm sorry to interrupt. What do we got, Rob Silk? He's turning the music down. This guy's not messing around. How we doing, brother?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good to see you.
Nice to see you. Beautiful. Fantastic.
What do we got going on today?
So today it's my wife's birthday. So I have her friends from college coming in. We have friends from Canada coming in. All our neighbors are here. We're throwing a party for like 75 people.
Take us through what you got on the grill.
So I made these whiskey meatballs that are brown sugar and Jack Daniels.
Okay.
Then I made this beautiful rump roast. I'm making it in au jus. I'm making sautéed spinach, aged provolone sandwiches, and then we're doing steamed clams in white wine and garlic sauce.
Nothing but the finest here at a Temple tailgate. We got the open bar. We got the crazy fans. Rob, can we get a prediction on the game today?
It's going to be closer than we think. Georgia Tech is bringing a good defense, and I think they're got some good running. It's going to be tight. I'm going to say Owls by 4.
Owls by 4. You heard it first. For Kyle Gauss, John DiCarlo, and Colin Thompson with Owl Scoop. Have a good day. Go Owls.